Good morning and welcome, colleagues, to the opening of the 2021 academic year at Elon University. I'm pleased to connect with all of you virtually this morning as we celebrate the beginning of another year of deep and engaged learning for our students and for all of us. We've learned a great deal since March, and I'm grateful for your collective effort to keep Elon a healthy, learning-centered community. Our newly staged campus is filled with the energy and excitement of a new beginning and a resolve to meet the challenges that lie ahead. I enter the year confident because of the extraordinary efforts this summer by faculty and staff to prepare the campus and the curriculum for the beginning of a new era in higher education and new ways that can engage students in Elon's remarkable educational experience. Together, we're going forward to new. As we do each year, we will begin today's opening of school ceremonies with the tradition of ringing the bell as a way of declaring the opening of a new academic year. The bell arrived in the state in 1854 atop one of the very first North Carolina Railroad locomotives and was later used at Graham College, the predecessor institution to Elon College. Because students are central to all we do, I've asked SGA President Robbie Miley to ring this historic bell and declare the year officially open. After the ringing of the bell, University Chaplain Reverend Dr. Jan Fuller will provide us with an invocation to begin the 2021 year. And then following the invocation, we will turn to a presentation of honors, the Elon Medallion. The Elon Medallion is awarded at the discretion of the president to members of the university community who have rendered loyal and meritorious service to this university and is the most prestigious service award given by the university. It is my absolute pleasure this morning to award the Elon Medallion to an outstanding member of our community, Dr. Charles Kernodle, Jr., class of 1938, who has left an indelible mark on the Elon University and Alamance County communities. We will now ring the bell to open the year and begin today's ceremonies.
Hi, I'm Robbie Miley, the Executive President of the Student Government Association for the 2020-2021 school year at Elon. I'm coming to you from the archives in the Carol Grotness Belk Library, where the Graham Bell is currently stored. Since we were unable to gather in person, I am honored to still ring it to signify the beginning of the academic year.
Well, this is not what we had hoped, planned for, or expected. Then again, name some part of life that did ever go exactly as planned. Buddhism teaches that attachments, otherwise known as expectations, cause suffering because none of our expectations fully come to pass. Every attachment we have disappoints us in some way. Life is always a surprise, even sometimes a shock. I like to say that we make a plan so that we have something to change, for plans will and must change with the moments as they come. We make careful plans and then hold them lightly, because we know day by day, we know this, that life is unpredictable, surprising. What shall we do then with what we have, all that we did not expect, all that is to come that we try, but for which we cannot plan? How shall we prepare for the surely unexpected? All of our religious, spiritual, and ethical traditions teach us that being fully where we are is better, healthier, happier, and spiritually centered. Our prayer and mindfulness practices invite us to be present in this one moment, with recognition that it is all we have. They invite us to be open to life as it arrives, breath by breath, morning by morning. This is the invitation to us all today, as challenging and simple as it is, that we stay in this moment, that we mourn what is painful, that we work and trust for better days and systems, that we celebrate what we can, and that we keep our hearts open, breathing deeply, eyes and ears focused on who is with us and what difference we can make here and now. To this end, I invite you to open yourselves with me in prayerful trust. Source of life, breath we welcome but do not control, we give thanks for this moment, not as we expected nor wanted, but as it is. Give us grace to be and love and work and pray where we are, to find gratitude and hope here, to see the surprising perfection of life, relationship, time, and dreams. We ask the Spirit of love to bless us in our endeavors to be a safe and caring community, to guide our leadership with clarity and wisdom, to shower us with hope in storm and peace, and to lead us to shared visions and experiences of justice. May we find new ways to stay open, to treasure each other, our students, this land, and the blessing of life itself in this moment and the next. Let it be so then. Amen.
Good morning, Dr. Kernodle. How are you?
Just fine, Dr. Book. It's good to see you.
Very nice to see you. And I can't tell you how proud I am to award you the Elon Medallion today.
But you're certainly very generous, and I'm very, very appreciative and very, very humble.
So you came during the Great Depression.
Yes, I did. Yes, and it was real tough, but we only had 500, and but we got by, and they did a great job.
Yeah.
Prepared us to go. As you know, my older brother went to Duke. Daddy figured it out. If he could go over there and be admitted to medical school, the rest of us, with the 4 boys, we went to Elon. They provided us with a good education, and all 4 of us were admitted to Duke Medical School without any problem. And we were real proud of the fact that Elon was there for us when we needed him, and it's just been great.
Well, we're all really proud to be able today to award this, the Elon Medallion, and it's in honor of all of the service that you've provided, not just the university, but Alamance County and Burlington, and just in the excellence in everything you've done, Dr. Kernodle. So I just am thrilled today to be able to have the Elon Medallion, and I think it was delivered to your house. So I'll be excited to see it. Look at that. Looks like it belongs there.
Yes, thank you so much. Very appreciative.
We have a little ceremony, so I'm going to let Vice President Jim Pyatt has something he's going to read, the citation. So we have a little ceremony. So he's next up. So he'll be right here. Hang on.
Greetings, Dr. Kernodle.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure to see you. You know, I wanted to ask you one other question, which is in 2018, when President Book was inaugurated, you represented the class of 1938. And that was a wonderful moment for the university. And I'm wondering if you could just share what that moment meant to be able to represent your class as Elon's 9th president was inaugurated.
Well, it was so, I felt very humble about it because Elon has done so much for so many, and especially our family, with my other brothers that got our education there and had no trouble getting into Duke Medical School. And so we are very proud of the fact that we were able to go there and try to support you. When we first came back here, we had contact mainly the sports. We've always been great sports people. And I worked with the football team. We started a program to give them 3 physicals, which we did as long as I was in practice. That was in 1983 or 4, and I think they still continue that. I was on the bench with the football team for 5 or 6 years. Bill Miller and Bill Morningstar were great friends. I was on the bench with them 12 to 15 years. So I've had a great working relationship with Elon University. It's meant so much to my family.
You've just outlined a number of the ways that you've supported Elon. And if the arithmetic is correct, your relationship with Elon spans 86 years. And we are grateful and we're delighted today to be able to award you Elon's highest recognition for service to the institution. So at this time, Dr. Kernodle, I would like to read the citation that is presented to you today. Whereas Dr. Charles E. Kernodle, Jr., one of 7 children of a farmer and a country doctor and a school teacher who instilled the values of hard work, graduated from Elon University in 1938 with an excellent academic record. As a member of Sigma Phi Beta fraternity, the Pi Gamma Mu National Social Science Honor Society, and the Marshal of the 1937 commencement. And whereas Dr. Kernodle completed his medical training at Duke University after serving faithfully as a United States Army chief surgeon, treating American soldiers and prisoners of war in Germany during World War II. And whereas Dr. Kernodle returned to Burlington to establish the renowned Kernodle Clinic with his brother Harold and cousin John Robert, a clinic that grew into a multi-specialty group practice with more than 50 medical providers and 15 areas of specialty, providing free physicals for local athletes and outstanding family health care for many generations. And whereas Dr. Kernodle, serving as the Burlington Williams High School football team doctor for 70 years, described by coach and 1998 Elon graduate James McGill as irreplaceable, and that Dr. Kernodle has touched the lives of thousands of young men and women, a great role model. You never see him with a negative attitude, even when things are not going the right way, and as an anchor, as solid as it gets. And whereas Dr. Kernodle faithfully cared for hundreds of Elon University athletes, serving as team physician for several Elon University athletic teams, alongside football coach Sid Varney and basketball coaches Bill Miller and Bill Morningstar. And whereas Dr. Kernodle's benevolence extended into retirement as he planted more than 500 tomato plants each summer, nurturing and tending the plants, only then to distribute their generous bounty to family and friends. And whereas Dr. Kernodle's commitment to his community has been recognized with the Order of the Longleaf Pine Award, the Distinguished Service in Sports Award, the Elon Athletics Distinguished Service Award, the Russell E. Blunt Legend Award by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association, and for whom the Williams football field is named. And whereas Charles' love for Elon and his community are matched only by the love for his family. Therefore, be it resolved that Dr. Charles Kernodle, for his record of meritorious service and loyalty to Elon University, be granted the university's highest honor, the Elon Medallion, on this day, the 12th day of August, 2020. Dr. Kernodle, would you have any words in response?
Well, as I said before, I'm very gracious and very humble towards Elon. They have meant so much to not only my family, but other people in my vicinity around schools. And they've done an outstanding job with their new plants, their new buildings, and the great increase in students. And I'm just really proud of Elon, because I saw it when it was struggling just to survive back in the early days. And I want to thank you and Dr. Book and all of these wonderful people for the great job that you're doing. I admire you, and I want to thank you.
Well, thank you very much, sir. It's an honor to be with you today and to bestow this honor upon you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
At Elon, our tradition is to present the Elon Medallion at the opening of the academic year and in a community of faculty and staff, symbolically honoring distinguished service at Elon just as new careers here are beginning. The Elon Medallion celebrates remarkable service to the university and to the larger community, and Dr. Kernodle is a shining example. At Elon, we know that through their service, dedication, and the will to lead, people move Elon forward and change the world. So Elon, welcome to this academic year. I'm on campus alone in McEwen Television Studios so that I could bring you this message without a mask as we launch the school year. Brent, Jeff, Quentin, and Jack from Teaching and Learning Technologies are in the adjacent control room assisting me this morning. I also want to thank Jimmy Crawford, our longtime university carpenter who crafted this beautiful new podium from one of the Elon oaks felled as part of building LaRose Commons, a gift from the time provided by the pandemic. Video, cameras, lighting, and even these little sheets of powder that when dabbed on my forehead help it not be so shiny are all part of the new tools we're using to communicate, to work, to teach, to problem solve. While I'm grateful to have them, these new tools come with new opportunities and new challenges. Here's a new opportunity. You're probably watching this message from your personal computer or at work or at home. And here's to a new challenge. You're probably watching this message from your personal computer at work or at home. In other words, challenge and opportunity can be one and the same, a duality that raises questions about the next right thing for Elon. This uncertainty and these new questions about what is unfolding across our campus and across higher education have been front and center as we prepare for reopening. Why reopen? That's probably the most frequent question I've had as I've shared the work that Elon is doing to prepare for the fall. My short response is simple. We must open, if we possibly can, to fulfill our mission, to personally mentor our students and prepare them for success. If we can meet the standards to do that safely, face-to-face, we should. The research is clear that face-to-face learning at the scale we are committed to at Elon is the most powerful in staging learning, integration, reflection, and peer-to-peer engagement. These fundamental components of student success are at the core of our decision to reopen. And I'm grateful for the task force on the fall 2020 and more than the 80 consultants of faculty and staff who contributed to the planning, along with the hundreds of others who provided feedback on how, why, and if we should reopen. We received the task force report at the end of May and quickly established the Ready and Resilient Implementation Team. And for the last 2 months, that team, with representatives from all units of our campus, has delivered on the initial vision of the task force. I offer my deep and ongoing thanks to the Ready and Resilient Committee for helping us all of us, to reassemble on campus with the best plan in the country. But May seems like ages ago, because as the task force noted, the virus would be in charge of what happens next. The virus would determine our path, and it has. What gives me confidence today on our reopening plan is that throughout the summer, with each new discovery and each new understanding about coronavirus, Elon has responded, shifting gears, aligning resources, and quickly embracing the new information to improve our effectiveness. With that same confidence, I know over the next several months, and truth be told, years, this pattern of learning and shifting, of flexibility, will continue at Elon. This ability to be agile and entrepreneurial has been a strength of our community for decades. Through smart planning and execution, the people of Elon understand change. We're cautious in our approach, but we are determined to always make things better. Across our campus, leaders in student life, mail and print services, the bursar, registrar, academic advising, cultural programs, residence life, human resources, and essential student service, the list is long and deep, are adapting and reorganizing events, traditions, student services, all to be delivered in smaller, more intimate settings, as well as virtually, and developing policies to guide our response this semester. At the heart of why we returned to campus this fall is that teaching and learning. Our faculty have true mastery in teaching. I've witnessed great teaching and mentoring over years at Elon. Great teachers using their unique and intuitive strengths, excitement for their disciplines, pressing forward and adapting during very difficult times. This summer, faculty have worked to realign their courses to many potential scenarios. We're in a new environment, but the hallmarks of great teaching we are so fortunate to have at Elon are being reimagined and redesigned with unwavering commitment to excellence. This is the moment when I would likely ask for applause for all of these efforts the community has undertaken to prepare for the semester ahead. So one of the tools in today's digital world is soundtracks, and soundtracks are going to help us deliver that. Here we go. Applause. So that list of names of the members of the Elon community that have dedicated so much during this last 6 months is truly quite remarkable. In the coming months, I will be sharing more about the exceptional work that has been underway since last March, people leading from each of their positions. And I do want to take a moment and recognize the extraordinary leadership and commitment of the vice presidents at Elon during this time. So why is it? So why does May seem like it was ages ago? I've asked Dr. Amy Overman, professor of psychology who studies neuroscience at Elon, about what's happening with the way our brains are working during the pandemic. Well, first, don't be surprised if you're struggling to get your arms around a sense of time. Last February, and how you understood the world, well, that feels like ages ago to most of us. And you're not alone. There's a reason for that. Dr. Overman says a complex relationship exists between memory recall and what we've been experiencing these last several months. Feelings of uncertainty can certainly impact our memory, but most importantly, because we have been so focused on coronavirus, we haven't needed to reactivate those memories from information prior to March. Those pre-pandemic memories are pushed to the background, making them seem very far away when we recall them, at least for the time being. So that leads me to my next question. So can we truly expect students and ourselves to learn at this time and in this environment? Well, Dr. Overman, who also teaches a class on how we learn, says, yes and no. We need to lower expectations somewhat for the amount and depth of learning. but students can still learn, and that includes you and me. However, she says this is the semester to streamline to the essentials rather than pack more in, and to be as clear as possible about expectations. That clarity with students and each other about goals will go a long way, because when you clearly understand reasonable and achievable expectations, you lower the level of stress and you learn more. Thank you, Dr. Overman. So let me help with that. The most important thing each of us can do at work this semester is stay focused on our shared primary goal of supporting students and each other as we provide teaching and learning on our residential campus in an environment that is healthy and safe. This means that those important projects, other planned work, research, and committee goals that aren't immediately pressing can and should wait until next semester or even next year. It also means we need to give each other a bit of grace as we work through these stressful and ever-changing times. During and in part because of the pandemic, we have been learning other critical lessons. Assistant Professor of Public Health, Katherine Johnson, was actually teaching a class at Elon this spring called Preventing Pandemics, and then one unfolded. I spoke to her just as the class was wrapping up, and she described the eeriness of teaching disease containment strategy to public health students remotely as they were themselves sheltering in place. But what I most recall in that conversation were her efforts to teach students about the underlying health conditions, the inequities faced by the Black and Latino communities, and the toll the virus was taking on their lives. She commented, while we've known that this to be true in public health field for decades, for many Americans, for the first time, they had a front seat view of health inequity. There's no question in my mind that this new understanding played a part in Elon and our country's outcry this summer over the continued and heightened injustices being experienced by Black Americans. At Elon, this has accelerated our efforts and our goals in diversity, equity, and inclusion. We circled around with our communities and ourselves and asked, are we doing everything we can? And the answer was, and is, clearly, no. So in the weeks that followed, we committed ourselves to deepening and designing new curricular requirements for students in the essential learning needed to address racism and bias, tying employee advancement at the university to attaining self-knowledge in order to be more effective in each of our roles, to reviewing our bias reporting system so it can be as transparent as the law allows, and to developing and implementing equity-based hiring practices. To lead this shared responsibility for the university's future and to secure the vision we articulated of a thriving and diverse community in our new strategic plan, Boldly Elon, Dr. Randy Williams was promoted to Vice President and Associate Provost for Inclusive Excellence. In this role, he serves as the university's Chief Diversity Officer and will work across all units of the university to provide leadership and, as we work together, to achieve the additional goals we outlined this summer, pressing forward on our vision articulated in Boldly Elon. The Committee on History and Memory is also bringing forward important recommendations on next steps to provide for a more inclusive and comprehensive telling of Elon's history that is centered on student learning and making our physical campus more inclusive. That committee linked with a national effort, Universities Studying Slavery, to propose a concept called the Black Lumen Project. The Black Lumen Project will focus squarely on Black student, alumni, and the employee experience in the years ahead, and is modeled after work unfolding at Georgetown, Brown, and William & Mary. These goals are critical to being the university we desire to be. These goals are critical to ensuring that each member of our community thrives here. These goals are critical to the rejection of bias and racism that exist on our campus and in our country. Today, I ask you to join me and the hundreds of Elon community members who are committed to the richness and the promise of a more equitable world. Let's talk about news for a second. We are seeing an unprecedented disruption here in North Carolina and across our country in funded news organizations. McClatchy Newspapers, our state's primary provider in all of our major cities, filed for bankruptcy at the beginning of the year. The local paper here in Burlington laid off much of its workforce. I have a heightened and growing concern about the ability of our country to engage in the democratic process when there are fewer and fewer skilled and objective journalists. Here at Elon, we enjoy a thriving School of Communications, and Dean Ford shared that journalism continues to be a top 10 major here. Many of our graduates are in the nation's finest news organizations and securing employment against the odds because of what they learned in our classrooms and studios, their hard work and their commitment to truthful and accurate reporting. Last year, Joe Bruno, class of 2014, won one of the nation's most prestigious news awards, the Polk Award, for local reporting on ballot fraud in North Carolina's 9th Congressional District. News, when it is done well, is the essential ingredient for constructive dialogue on the challenges we all face. I'm proud that Elon is now the home of the North Carolina News Workshop. Housed in the School of Communication, it's grant funded, and it has an initiative that works to build local news capacity, convene journalists for ongoing education, and to create a network of local journalism resources, an ecosystem. Talented director of the project, Melanie Sill, is not new to Elon. She was instrumental working with us 15 years ago to establish the North Carolina Open Government Coalition here. The North Carolina News Workshop arrives as a critical and important resource to North Carolinians as we prepare this fall for a national presidential election. Now, you may have seen over the summer that the Kernodle Center changed its name. It's now called the Kernodle Center for Civic Life. Associate Director in the center, Bob Frigo, and Civic Engagement Faculty Fellow, Dr. Carrie Eves, joined by several Elon students, are leading an effort to advance voting at Elon. The programs they have designed on voter engagement are often cited as best practices in higher education. And this year, students have a day without classes on Election Day, November 3rd, and our staff have the option to take that day as well. The Board of Elections needs poll workers, and I know many Elon students, faculty, and staff will want to assist. Elon understands that we're connected to the surrounding community. The coronavirus has helped us all see our interconnections more clearly. We've had outstanding collaborations with the Alamance County Public Health Department as we prepare to reopen. We've supported our local business this summer as we advanced our Elon Partners program and deepened our support of the United Way efforts. Thank you for all that you're doing to support the community during this time and for the care and consideration of how we help our neighbors stay healthy, thriving as our students return. The Kernodle Center for Civic Life is currently working with our partners to identify ways we can support the needs in Alamance County virtually. And the Center for Access and Success is taking that critical village project, our tutoring program in support of Alamance Burlington school system, virtual this fall. The education gap that was accelerated by the coronavirus is real and deep. We are committed to being part of the solutions. And this summer funded eCompany, a program that allowed 70 Elon students who had lost their summer internships or employment to work as virtual tutors for ABSS students and work here on campus, helping us prepare for the fall. Within the challenges of the coronavirus, I want to say that we're building a new Elon. And in this process, we will need to leave some things behind, and we will need to be sure to take some things with us. We need to leave behind an Elon where COVID-19 doesn't exist. We need to leave behind any thought that we just need to get through this and then it will be over. COVID-19 is here to stay, and it will be a great influencer on who we become. Just as Dr. Kernodle shared as he accepted his Elon Medallion at 103 years old, he vividly recalls his arrival at Elon during the Great Depression in 1934. That event reshaped the university, and coronavirus is doing the same. I respect this disease, meaning I'm adjusting my daily life in response to it. I believe it is powerful, and I need to actively guard against it. I'm taking up daily habits to protect myself against COVID-19. My mask is my shield. Each day we understand more about the critical role wearing that mask plays in keeping you healthy. Social distancing, that's my armor. And washing my hands and taking my temperature ensure that I'm able to join the team here each day. All of these safeguards depend on human behavior. And because we aren't perfect, forgetting to follow the rules is where we are most vulnerable. Remember that. We need to also leave behind an Elon where we don't see how truly interconnected we are. We need to leave behind an Elon where we did things because that's how we've always done it. And here's what we need to bring to the new Elon we're building. We need to make sure we bring the values we just articulated as a community in the Boldly Elon plan. We can see now more clearly how critical that work was as we outlined who we will be in Elon's future. Our commitment to relationship-rich education that's accessible in every corner of our campus and student experience. We need to make sure we bring our innovative spirit and our promise of curricular advancement and lifelong learning. One only has to look to the leadership of Dr. Cindy Fair and others in creating our major in public health studies 6 years ago to see evidence of the power of introducing new curriculum to stage Elon graduates that are truly helping our society navigate the pandemic. Boldly Elon advances the sciences, the health sciences, fields of engineering and data. All of those competencies more important than ever before, and distinctively Elon, we say it should live in that intersection where our deep commitment to the core curriculum and the majors in the liberal arts and sciences are. Most of all, we need to bring to our future this powerful sense of purpose and shared responsibility, which has afforded Elon the ability to respond effectively and creatively to this crisis. This summer, I was invited to participate in a podcast conversation on higher education with the president of Spelman, Mary Schmidt Campbell. Now, Spelman is a historically black college in Atlanta dedicated to the education of black women, and the president of Colgate, Brian Casey. Colgate is a residential liberal arts college in rural New York and is known for having an academically rigorous environment. We each shared about our unique institutional responses to COVID-19, each of us navigating and leveraging the strengths of our universities, our unique missions, our unique locations, our unique communities of faculty, staff, and students. One of our country's strengths is the diversity of our higher education ecosystem. In fact, we have the most diverse higher education system in the world. I believe that is why it is so important that each college and university offer a response at this time that is consistent with the deep understanding of their own institutional strengths. Here, that strength is each of you. We often talk about our community and highlight it. It's part of the ethos, the culture that drives our success, and that is all true. But the reason I mention it now, here, as I close my remarks, is that we are at this moment, each of us, sheltering Elon's future. Each of us, whether on campus or off campus, in person or remote, we are bringing the university's mission to life this fall through our contributions and our crafts, not in words, but in our actions, what we choose to do. I have seen your efforts unfolding. I've seen your collective commitment to excellence, to each other as colleagues, to our students, and to ensuring that the strength of our university continues forward for the generations that will follow us. Thank you, and my best wishes to each of you this academic year.